Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with our next speaker, the DoD Cyber Workforce Updates with Mark Gorak, Director of the Cyber Academic Engagement Office and Principal Director for Resources and Analysis within the DoD. This is what happens when you don't wear your glasses. Within the DoD OCIO, and former Deputy Director of the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. Sir, it's all yours.
All right. So I know that I am between you and lunch, so I will try to make this a lot quicker than I normally do this. This usually takes me 45 minutes. Today we're going to do it a lot faster. So I know I have a very long title. I have several titles. Today's talk is going to be focused on the workforce. So I own a Workforce Innovation Directorate. My other hat is the Director of Academic Engagement. If you want to know more about that, see Deba Hadi's talk this afternoon. Okay, next slide. Oh, I got to press my button. Not used to it. All right, so I think everybody knows the challenge. So if you look on the left there, about 500,000 cyber vacancies in the United States, and that can be range estimates from 500 to 700,000. So we look at this as a national security challenge for the nation. As part of that, in DoD, we have about 175,000 military and civilians, and we estimate about 70,000 contractors. If anybody has an idea of how I can count on my contractors, let me know. But I am the functional community manager for this entire workforce, which means I manage the entire cyber workforce. And when I say cyber, apparently a lot of people think, ooh, is that cybersecurity? Well, that's part of it. It's IT, it's cyber intel, it's cybersecurity, it's cyber ops. It's data, AI, and software. That's all part of what we define as our cyber workforce, okay? So that's the problem. My job is to inspire the next generation of cyber talent and retain and train, develop, and recruit new talent. So that's part of what our mission is. And we have a very challenging environment right now to do that. So anybody under a hiring freeze? So we're actually not in cyber. I got a cyber exemption for the hiring freeze. So if you're having problems hiring, let my staff know and we'll help you with that exemption request. Okay? All right, here's kind of our strategy implementation plan, and this is what we accomplished last year. So this is the end of FY24. Average time to hire, we reduced to 70 days. No kidding, 70 days average time to hire. That's pretty good. The OSD average goal is 80, and I think the department's well over 100. So we're doing very well in cyber for average time to hire. Reduced vacancy rate by almost 5%. That's a huge number, by the way, since the DoD turns over about 10,000 cyber professionals per year. So that means I have to recruit 10,000 just to maintain. So we reduced by almost 5% on our vacancy rates. We integrated cyber operational scenarios, and we established the office that I am now the director of. So the department was tasked in the National Defense Authorization Act to establish this office. So I went from 4 titles to 5 titles. So another job for me. Again, Deba Hadi is my principal director there. She's helping us form that office. Okay, what are our priorities for 25? This is what you really want to hear. My number one priority for FY25, and I will get there, we've already done our first pilot. Anybody familiar with skills-based hiring? You might have heard the term. If you ask OPM what skills-based hiring is, it's a self-assessment that you're an expert in all areas we asked you a question about. That is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about, I don't care about your resume. I don't care about your experience. I don't care about your education or your certifications or your pedigree. I care if you can do the job. So you're going to come in, I'm going to throw you into a cyber range, hands-on keyboard. For each one of our 74 work roles, we're going to do 1 this year, and see if you can do the job. If you can do the job, you're hired. If you can't do the job, we're going to tell you what you're deficient in, and you can go get that training. Different way of hiring, right? I didn't say USA Jobs. They're not in the picture. OPM does not like this, so we'll have to work through all those challenges. OMB does not like this, work through those challenges. But if you talk about merit principles and how to hire, I don't know of a better way to hire people than to actually see if they can actually do the job. So we're going to get there. Number one priority. Coding. Anybody have their work role coded? Right? Civilians in here, you're coded. Military, you're coded. Contractors, your positions are also coded depending on when your contract starts. What does that mean? What's coding? For us, it's the requirement, the manpower systems for all the services and components, and it's the personnel systems, what I have on hand. It's coding both of those. We're about, 89% coded for those two systems. Up to 3 work roles per individual, and that's the high school level of coding. Where we're going to go now, especially for the cybersecurity workforce, is qualification levels. So we have 3. Ours is basic, intermediate, and advanced. And you have to put in your learning management systems how you're qualified. So it's not just, I'm qualified. Really, show me. Prove it to me. That has to be coded in the systems. That is not a trivial event. Okay, all the components are working on this right now. I don't want this to be hand-jammed. I want this through your learning management systems, direct reporting up to us, computer to computer. Okay, so I need your help here. Is coding one and done? If you code today, you're good forever, right? No. Continuously coding, because the environment changes, the jobs change. How many people here are civilians under a PD that doesn't even describe what you do? Right? Because we don't update our PDs. Well, guess what? You're going to have to update your coding here and your qualification levels. And as you move through those qualification levels, which we hope you do, you're basic today, I want you to be intermediate next year. Guess what? That's a coding. Recode. And by the way, while you're doing that, I am continually changing your work role. Any system admin out there? System administrators. Just revamped that work role, last month. Any red team people? Just created that work role last month. Every 90 days, I commit to you that we will be flexible, agile, and responsive to your needs, which means if a work role, task, skill becomes outdated, tell me, we'll go through the gauntlet, and we'll get it done in 90 days. So I'm changing the requirements on you, because that's, the enemy gets a vote here, and we have to keep up. So I'm going to push that envelope. So coding. I talked skills-based hiring, increased certification and training opportunities. Let's see, if your job requires you to be at the intermediate or advanced level and you're only at the basic level, I've now determined a shortfall, a readiness shortfall, a training shortfall. We have to get training. No longer are the days where you can be in a job for a decade and never go to training. You must go to training every year under the 8140 standards. Okay, 20 hours minimum. Okay, training is required now. Oh, but we don't have funding for that. I've told all your components to fund this. Whether they did or not is a different issue, and next year will be challenging, but now you at least have the requirement to fight for resources to get that training. I'm working on what I call pay equity. In your job you do today, you could have civilians doing it, you could have military doing it, you can have contractors doing it. Are they all paid the same? Seems kind of weird to me to have 3 different entities all doing the same job and being paid at a different level. I assure you, within the cyber accepted service civilian personnel system, I can get to pay equity. You have the authorization to do it today. If you haven't seen those slides of how much I can pay you, attend my longer talk. I don't have time today to go into it. Okay? But with 3 R's and the CES pay through TLMS, Targeted Local Market Supplement, I can absolutely get to pay equity. On the mill side, much more challenging for me, because each of the components pay differently mostly based on experience. But if I get to skills-based hiring, I can level that across the board so we all know where we're at and then pay accordingly based on your skills of what you can actually do, not just based on how many years you have served. And then we're going to mature the Cyber Academic Engagement Office. Anybody here have requirements without funding? Yeah, that's what I'm working through on that office. Okay, got a requirement, 1,000 scholarships by next year. I don't have money to do that. I have a requirement to establish an office. I don't have money to do that. But we're going to work through it. We're going to make something happen. So that's my commitment. So these are the main changes that we're prioritizing for FY25. Coding I've already talked about. Critical, critical, critical. We equate coding, and you heard Paul Stanton say this today, to readiness. If I know where you need to be, and I know where you are, that delta is our readiness delta. Okay? That's on an individual level, which I can then roll up by organization. Paul Stanton wants to take that a step further and actually make sure you're good on the actual systems you're on. Great. I'm all for that. That's coded in. Proficiency, develop, and then we always track the analytics. I'm a data scientist, so I'm very, very big into data. When I came in, I said I'm going to measure everything. We're going to make decisions based on data, not just based on hearsay or what people think. We're going to use data to measure our progress. So if we're doing a program and we're not increasing recruitment, we're not increasing retention, why are we spending money on it? So let's measure what we're doing. Again, ready and capable force. Okay, here's new, right? I actually have already told you guys this in 8140, that you can no longer hire based solely on education, certification, or training. How are you hiring? What criteria are you using? Very curious, since you can't use this, or any one of these, so you're kind of using all of them, and you're kind of saying, yes, you think they're qualified. Again, if I don't give you another tool like skills-based hiring, I don't know how you're going to execute this. Then you have your residential quals. So I determine the basic level. Each component out there, each organization has to determine those residential quals. I can't do it because every organization is slightly different. But we're going to measure that. And who is qualified? A-Rod, what's our number for the first tranche of our qualified cybersecurity workforce? 54%. Wow, I expected it to be about 95%. I think it's higher than 54%. I think we don't have the learning management systems in place to actually get us this good data. So I think there's a big data issue there. But that's the current data on the books. And I briefed that to all the 4 stars. 54%. That sounds like failure to me. We can do better. So, but we don't know where we are until we start measuring it. And then I already talked about continuous professional development. Tell your bosses, tell your supervisors, you have to go to training, mandated. Okay? Make them fight for those resources. Okay, Defense Cyber Workforce Framework. Again, 74 work roles we have now. Here's why it matters. Has anybody not heard of the DCWF? Anybody not heard of it? Raise your hand. One person. Well, I'm getting a lot better. Audience is usually about half of them haven't heard of it. Work roles, they're very important. They define what you do. We have over 200 occupational series defined in our 74 work roles. I have doctors doing cyber. They're supporting cyber. I have lawyers. I have HR. I have financial people, all in cyber. They're all part of the team. So we have that huge block of enablers. I forgot to mention that. Part of my cyber workforce is a huge block of enablers. Okay? So we look at it from a total force. Compo 1, Compo 2, and Compo 3. So I have my reservists in the room, right? My National Guard, they're all under this same regulation. Are they where they need to be? Are they coded correctly? Not yet. We're still working on it. We will get there. Okay, and again, to me, the whole purpose of this is overall measuring readiness. Okay, where are we with the cyber workforce? I get asked that question all the time. So General Hartman now gets asked that question. What's the readiness of our cyber ops forces? He has a different readiness metrics and tools, but this can add to that readiness total picture, right? Not just a commander's assessment, but true data of where specifically we're at by individual. Okay, lastly, I'm going to talk about cyber accepted service. Who has not heard of cyber accepted service? Again, a couple. This applies to civilians, your civilian population. Of my roughly 70,000 civilians, I have less than 16,000 cyber accepted service positions and about 10,000 actual people. Of that, I just doubled the number of people I give TLMS to over 2,000 now. And I am fighting for you guys every day. I would like the entire 74 work roles to get TLMS. I'm not there yet. Okay, your components fight me on this all the time, but I'm in there every month pitching for more TLMS, more pay for our cyber workforce. So skip the line. I don't need USA Jobs to hire, so you can do that right now today. If you're in DoD, you are exempt from the hiring freeze. You don't have to go through USA Jobs. You have talent, hire them. Anybody hiring today? No. Why not? I don't know. I don't know if the word's getting out or not, but I have the exemption to the hiring freeze. So please hire if you're in CES. Yes, Brian, find out who that is, and we'll send them the copy. I sent it out to all the components from PNR. So don't know why that hasn't filtered down yet, or if they're hoarding it, I don't know. All of you guys should have that. Good point. I didn't send it to Compo 2 or Compo 3, so I'll have to do that. Add that to my things to do list to send it to Compo 2 and 3. Okay, merit-based promotion. We have that. By the way, increased pay. You can hire under CES to the grade to step 12 in all of our grades through 15. It's the only the personnel system I know of that has step 12 through 15. Okay, so step 12 up to grade GS 15. Most stop at GS 12. GS 12, step 12. Ours goes all the way to 15. So a little bonus pay there. And then the enhanced pay for critical work roles, TLMS, about a 40% increase in pay. Yet on top of that, a 25 or a 50% 3R, you get to pay parity very quickly. All right, look at that, 1 minute to spare. Here's a survey. Here's if you have questions. There's the link. Do I have time for a question? You do. 4 minutes. Oh, 4 minutes there. I was looking at the clock back there. All right, questions for me. Don't be shy. I will get out the hiring exemption memo. By the way, anybody here affected by DRP? Any of your workforce?
Yes.
You're exempted from that too.
Can we get that memo?
Say again?
Can we get, I'm Brad Rhodes. I'm a colonel in the Army Reserve. I have, I'm a G6 for an Army division. I have civilian workforce. We've lost people to DRP. Can't figure out how to get the Army Reserve, Compo 2, to do the incentive pay stuff, right? It's a huge mess. I'm actually stationed in my reserve role in Mountain View, California. If you think it's hard to hire out in DC, it's really freaking hard to hire in Silicon Valley without that, and I don't have it. And so I'll get with Brian offline, and if we can get some information there, because it's a fight, like even within Compo 2 to figure that out.
So I hear this all the time. My job is to provide you the authorities and to meet your needs as operators. If I give a service or a component the authority and they don't choose to utilize it, I can't control that. So I believe the Army did not sign up for the exemption. And part of it's, I get it, right? I'm a leader. If you have your team, let's say you have 100 people under you, and 10 of them decide to take the DRP, you had the authority to say, no, you can't. Wow, are they going to be effective for you? Right? That's a leadership challenge. So I get it. Okay? So, but I give the power to you. You get to choose whether you keep them, force them to stay, or not. Okay? I can tell you, we had people getting TLMS that took the DRP. So, and we're allowed to. I don't understand that myself. Critically short skill set. We're paying them a ton of money, and they're allowed to take the DRP. So, Regs, go ahead. Here.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to tell publicly, and all of you, I have stood in marvel at the progress that has been made. Many of us have tracked this for decades, and we run into obstacles, and sometimes we just stand down. Mark and his team have done miracles, and he would not put it in that language because he's humble in that way, but he and his team, and I encourage you to engage with them. They are an example for the rest of the federal government. I considered Mark to be a battle buddy in my last role, and I do believe the practices they're developing for the Department of Defense should be carried across the federal space wherever possible. And now, with that somewhat gratuitous remark, but genuine, heartfelt. I hope you know this from the heart. I see Alice here, who I've worked with for decades, and the whole team, Matt Eisner and the Patrick Johnsons of the world, and Diva. The whole team is just amazing. But I do want you to speak. I came in a little bit late because I was over in another session talking about skill-based hiring. So could you elaborate a little bit on how you feel like that's going to make all the difference?
Well, you missed my first 5 minutes where I talked about skills-based hiring. So I really believe fundamentally that we have to get to skills-based hiring. It's not a choice. We have to do it. I've already told you, you can't hire based on experience. I use my own resume. I have 2 master's degrees. I'm a mathematician, applied mathematician. I have 25 years in programming and development and cyber experience. My resume looks really good. I have a lot of people asking to hire me. I would be really, really bad on a keyboard, right? I haven't programmed in probably almost 10 years. I've been in senior exec for over 5 years. You don't do any programming. When I get my chance to play with Excel, Farah gives me some Excel spreadsheets. I'm like, yes, and I get to play. But no, not in general. So skills-based hiring we have to get to. We have to get to merit-based. And by the way, the next logical step, right? If I get to skills-based hiring and I'm hiring people based on what you can do, wow, that sounds like an assessment that I can do on an annual basis to determine if you can do your job or not. Are you qualified to do your job or not? And if you're not, then what training do you need? Because this is part of it. It's not just a pass-fail kind of thing. It's you take the assessment and I identify your weaknesses. And I don't care who you are, we're not all smart in everything that we have to do for our job. So that pinpoints to me the training that's now required. And if you still can't do your job within a year, you need to find another job. So question.
Yes, Darrell Higley, Air Force, Space Force, Cyber Resilience Office of Control Systems. I just wanted to give a shout out thanks to your team. Tyler specifically is helping us move work role number 462, the only one focused on OT of the 70 work roles, to get that over the end zone here in the next couple weeks. Because we've had 200 trainings all combined to get all the KSATs in there. So we're really close in getting that finalized. So thanks to your team to getting that one work role on OT cyber complete. Thanks.
Well, that was an easy question. Great. But that's a testimonial, right? So I've challenged my team to be agile, flexible, and responsive to the customer. You're the customer. My job is just to provide you options and capability. Again, you choose to use it or not. I set the basic level, you all set the intermediate and advanced, so please do that. Who's responsible for setting those conditions, those qualifications? It surely is not OSD, okay? Who's responsible for coding? Anybody have an answer to that? It's the supervisor. The supervisor. You have to know your team, you have to know the people that you manage, and you have to know what's the requirement for them. Do they need to be intermediate? Do they need to be experts? Or can they just be basic? Right? Set that. Code it. All right, 20 seconds, so have a great lunch. Mission Barbecue is great. Thanks for HammerCon, and have a great afternoon.
We say people when they can leave the auditorium, not the speakers. Mark, first of all, thank you for this. Dan, please come up. So first of all, as always, and I quote what Dan said. I remember you and I spoke at something like a year and a half ago at the Texas State. It was in D.C. The FIDIC, yeah, one of those. But the things that you suggested here, I mean, you're making progress on it. I mean, you moved the ball a long way down the field in a relatively short period of time. So that's impressive for anything in the government to happen at that scale. You may deserve this medal more than anyone for actually championing a lot of things that the community is really struggling with. So, Dan, do you want to say something, by the way? I know I would like you to present the award.
Okay,
I'll
by
be
all
in the
means,
picture.
I'm going to read the citation because I think it absolutely.
Like
thank you.
you're the only one that doesn't
You know
need
what?
a microphone.
I
in
don't
this
need no
place.
damn microphone. All right,
Yeah.
here we go. So, to all here present, know ye that Mark Gorak, having been recognized for significant contributions to the community of military cyber professionals, and having demonstrated our values of loyalty, duty, and excellence, is hereby admitted on this date, June 26, 2025, into the Order of the Thor. So signed by Dr. Joseph Billingsley, founder, and Christopher J. Cleary, president, Military Cyber Professional Association.
Thanks, Mark. Seriously, yeah. Yeah, the bestowment. It needs to be bestowed.
Turn this way.
Yeah. Don't put it in a shoebox. All right. All right. All right. Now you can go to lunch. Enjoy lunch. Thanks, Mark. Seriously, really appreciate it. No, you are.